Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for May 6th and 7th, 2020. Wow. Are you feeling the full moon energy? The moon has moved into Scorpio. And so it's like we're just moving into this energy. And one thing I didn't talk about, I don't think, in the full moon video is that this moon will be in very close in trine to Neptune, who's exactly square Venus. And I know you're feeling that. Um, we talked yesterday about this kind of like war of timelines thing that's going on. And it was bringing me, I was thinking about this Sun Mercury conjunction, which was exact yesterday, but still close today and still close for the full moon that happens. And in this next 24 hours. And so we have got the Sun and Mercury coming together in Taurus, coupled with that Venus exact square of Neptune, is a very interesting energy, because with this war of timelines and this strange time, when Neptune transits happen, especially squares, it's like really hard to get a grip on reality. And like what's real, what's not real, what's really happening, who can you trust? And especially with Venus and Gemini, right? Because Venus is, Gemini is like the mind. It's about Gemini's witty, it can figure things out. It's that mastermind type energy. And Neptune is like, you're not figuring this one out. Sorry. And Venus, of course, getting ready to take this retrograde. It's got this energy of going back through relationship patterns. And so many of us have dealt with these toxic relationships where we have been a feeder to feeders, feeding feeders. And in order for that type of situation to happen, there has to be manipulation. And a lot of times it's really subtle manipulation. And I found that what happens is that in these relationships, that during the relationship, it's confusing. You don't know what's going on, but then it's not till you get out of it that you really get the damage of it, which is where you can't orient back to yourself. And that's kind of the point of these relationships, like from that perspective of this control-based energy. It's like the agenda of that energy working through people in your life is to disconnect you from your sense of self, disconnect you from your intuition, disconnect you from your purpose. And so here we are. And then this Gemini energy, though, also has this like, you guys, come on, let's get in the magic. Like, can't we just adjust and let this divine timeline land home, And then it's like, okay, but I've been so, and then it's the feeling that happens. It's like, well, you've been so manipulated and so hoodwinked, and now you can't trust the good that's trying to come in, right? And is that kind of the point? It's a really tricky place. We're in a really glitchy, interesting, strange place right now. Now that the moon's in Scorpio, it's like, feels really weird and like time in between time, and this feeling like we're waiting for something. Are we waiting for the other shoe to drop? Are we waiting for our country to open? Are we waiting for the truth to come out? Are we waiting for the comet to come? Are we waiting for who knows, right? And then Mercury Sun is saying, I think you guys are waiting for you. And we're stuck in between timelines because we can't allow ourselves, because the Taurus energy with Uranus and Taurus and the Sun and the Mercury just visiting Uranus, now they're together. And it's like, okay, you guys, we're coming into council. We just hung out with Uranus, and there's like, we got some big vibrational changes we need to make. And there's a new paradigm trying to land. And it's this plasma technology, the particle, no more particle wave, no more particle into the wave vibration. And how do we navigate? Who are we? What are we doing in this energy? And in Taurus, it's about, can you receive it? Are you worthy of it? And so we're in this place of this, in just stuck in between. And we've been here for a few years. This feeling has been coming up. I mean, maybe since 2011, 2012, right? Kind of waiting for something. And then it's like, what are we waiting for? And maybe we're waiting for more people to come on board, getting to the mass of a big enough mass of people to get the momentum going. But the message seems to be that we're waiting for ourselves to feel like we deserve it and we're worthy, which is hard because it's like going from this old paradigm and lifetimes of patterns where everything seems to be working against you and your divine mission and path. And what if the universe is trying to it's like tinkling stars out here going like, hey, how about this way? Hey, here's a little opportunity for you. Like, hey, I want to help you. And you're like, I don't trust that. You know what I mean? Whew, that's a big part of this Gemini retrograde, Venus retrograde in Gemini. And so the fact that the moon is in Scorpio heading into this full moon, it's like blooming this energy. Full moons are like putting a spotlight specifically in Scorpio, a spotlight on shining the light on the shadow and everything that you haven't wanted to look at. And there it is. And that's exactly Venus retrograde. And we've got about 6 weeks ahead of us of 7 weeks, because we're not even in the Venus retrograde yet, but I'm sure feeling it, of this, really 8 weeks, as by the time Venus gets done with its third and final square at the end of July with Neptune. So we're just getting into this very strange chapter, and it's kind of apropos, I guess, that this Scorpio full moon is kind of starting it off. And then Venus takes the retrograde on the 13th next week, is when it actually turns. And so maybe it'll feel a little, sometimes there's a lot of anticipation. It's like, oh, this dread feeling. And once Venus turns and we can settle into that energy and kind of get to work on whatever it means for us, we won't feel this feeling. But it's such a strange in-between time feeling and being suspended and waiting for something and feeling out of control, right? Which this is part of it, right? Like, this bigger divine timeline is so powerful. It's so beyond what we can imagine. It's so unavoidable, it's nothing can stop it. And yet we're like, what do I need to do? I can't miss this opportunity. How do I get it to happen? How do I, and then no, wait, I'm not ready. So this is kind of where we're at right now. And maybe like clinging to that edge of the cliff. And then we've got this huge watery energy because Venus and square to Neptune, but then with the Scorpio, now the moon in Scorpio coming into this full moon in trine. So it'll be not too far out of, it happens at 17 degrees, a really special number. And then, but not far out of a trine at Neptune, with Neptune at 20 degrees, And so a huge amount of water energy, and we haven't had this for a little while, once we got out of the Pisces energy, right? And so now there's going to be emotions and intensity kind of coming up of what, almost like facing reality of what this time has been about. It's almost like we've been in shock. People have been in shock, just kind of getting through. And now that it's like, how do we get back to normal? But there's like, the normal isn't normal. And we don't even know what the new normal is. And nobody's telling us the truth. And it's like we're just the blind leading the blind, and like kind of like, this is a Scorpio full moon. We're just like feeling around in the darkness, trying to get a sense, and then of course that's going to bring up. So maybe this is what's going on. It's a world situation, this uncomfortable feeling of like, something's not right, right? That's how you feel in a manipulative relationship, and it's like, then you kind of have to look at the truth of it. And in order to kind of move forward. And I guess that's really where we are. And so there's that feeling of like, we can't get out of this one. We can't just go back to normal. We've got some shock and trauma. And while you're in shock, you're immobilized, right? And then you're either fight, flight, or immobilized. And then now we're like, okay, we can't stay here in trauma. Humanity and the collective. We got to somehow move forward, right? So Anyway, the conclusion is that we're in this strange place. It's going to be emotional. It's coming up, all these past relationship stuffs. And can you allow yourself a different paradigm? What happened? What would happen to you if all of a sudden you had, instead of manipulators and energies that were like thwarting you and this type of, that we've all kind of been dealing with this weird glitchy time, all of a sudden it's like behind that energy, it's like that's just a veil. And then behind that, there's this magic trying to come into your life. And can you allow that to happen? Or have you lost all ability to trust? Because that's kind of the point of those manipulative energies, And if you've lost all ability to trust and you've lost connection to yourself and you question everything that comes your way, how are you going to let that good magic that wants to come in happen, right? Because this is the other, Neptune's confused, right? Because it's like the bigger, wider spiritual truths, this big nebulous kind of energy, and it doesn't fit into this world, right? But that's part of what we're trying to do, is to get a little bit more in our world, more connected with what's really the bigger spiritual truths, right? And so that disconnect, that's why the Neptune transits are so confusing. And then, but it's also trying to bring in that spiritual revelation, connect us back to the higher love, to the higher vibration. And it's like, maybe what's holding us up and what we're waiting for is giving ourselves permission to receive. And that's powerful, because we're coming into this eclipse season. We've got that 0 degrees Cancer eclipse right on the solstice in June. I got to do a video about that. But so, wow, these next 2 months, it's just 2020. We're just going to be here. It's like this time in between time waiting for something. But I think the shift is that, like, what are you waiting for, right? Because you can go. And, so again, it's this like, this Scorpio intensity might bring up all of this stuff from the past that is like, you're ready to just let that shit go, right? And the full moon is all about completions, like have a bonfire and burn some stuff, like, because it's like, that all's gotta go. I gotta make room for the new, right? You gotta make room. You gotta adjust your vibration. You gotta get back in touch with that spiritual innocence that can trust your higher self, because that magical energy is the higher timelines trying to work through, but it doesn't work. It works within the free will, right? Then the control energies don't, right? So we got to like get out around behind this lower matrix paradigm, which is getting stronger every day. And as so many people, and that's the thing, we got this like dual reality where so many people are really kind of just buying, putting a mask on and buying into, and like, give me the vaccine and whatever will make me safe. And sure, I think that a computer program that shows our temperature and how close we are together is a great thing, right? Like, yes, all technology of the future, right? And then there's like other people that might not feel so like, really comfortable with that. And so we're living in this, of course, these nested timelines. And so that's what's giving us this timeline war thing. And so again, for these souls, it's like culmination, huge emotions. I got to do something. I can't let what happened before happen again. That's what's coming up from past lives, right? Of these old traumas, planetary experiences. And yet we're not really in charge. All we are here to do is allow ourselves and receive and move into that divine timeline that's got this big, powerful, inevitable, beautiful energy, right? And we just got to step over and let ourselves receive and be in that place. And so the trine that's happening right after this full moon with Neptune, that's where it's like, there's just this little magic, like, hey, do you want to step through? It's like that door you were looking for. It opens from the inside, And so there's something, it's like it's like this, the divine timeline is trying to slip through the cracks here. And maybe just realizing it, that, I'm waiting for me to give myself permission, right? And trusting and knowing even though you've trusted the wrong people for far too long, right? And then it's like, are there even any right people out there to trust? Like, because you've been isolated and, you've been quarantined for lifetimes. And it's like, we got to find that inner knowing and like tap into the energy of that magic and step over that threshold and give ourselves permission to, gosh, I just literally feel like close your eyes. It's like, Dorothy, you can go home now. Click your heels and step on that timeline. Just step onto it. It's coming in. It's coming in. Like this comet's coming in. It's going to go near going near the earth, going near the sun. So we step on that timeline. We can go visit the sun, get back onto our divine oneness, true cosmic love experience that we're here to embody. We know that, right? Because it's like everything that's been wrong and hard about you in your past lives is actually what's right about you. And you didn't go through all that just to become a part of the lower matrix robot, suck your soul system. You didn't. It's not even possible for you, really. But maybe that's part of it too. We're feeling these loyalty energies of like, how can I leave humanity behind in that? And because, and that's where we come for the grief that's coming up. It's about this manipulation, right? Like, I want to go out there and do something to help. But when people are being lied to and they're buying the lies, they like the lies and they want the lies, what are you going to do? And like, you going to just go take over CNN and start saying the truth? Like, what are you going to do? It's just this powerless feeling, except for that the picture that I'm seeing is this divine timeline has the power. It's like, you can't, like, this is all just ideas and concepts and delusion and form, and we got to step out of that and be in that divine timeline. And that's what this full moon seems to be about. Like, make your choice, right? And that means you got to get rid of this grief and the garbage that's coming up to make room and maybe be like, oh yeah, I was manipulated. I was in control-based relationships. I see how that was trying to disconnect me to myself. Now I'm going to go back to myself. Now I'm going to go trust that place. And I'm going to live from that place. And I'm going to be like, a higher part of me knows I'm here for more than this garbage. And just be there, right? Why not now? So strange time. Hang in there. Be present. We talked about how powerful these days are right now and how we're being asked to, as much as we can, moment to moment, be in that ceremonial place of creating new earth, allowing the new timeline, looking at what needs to go from your life in order to make room for that magic to come in. Just keep in mind, it's like, whoa, what if I've got these stars showering down on me and I think it's something that's like unsafe or I can't trust because nothing else is, and it's like, what if those showering stars are like, you gotta be in the receiving mode, right? So that's a good energy for water, right? So let the emotions come, clean out the garbage, burn the stuff on the bonfire, and receive the messages from the stars, from on high, speaking down through this moon trine Neptune. And that behind all of this is this mystical, magical experience of amazing and epic proportions. And that's why you're here. And just live in that energy as much as you can. And I look forward to seeing you maybe at that live activation. That's at 4 p.m. today for the full moon, exactly 12 hours in Mountain Time, 12 hours before the actual full moon. And so we'll just really set into this energy, see what it's about, see if we can't get any more clues, maybe get some energy healing moving on these stuck old griefs that are keeping us from receiving the new. And I look forward to seeing you there. The information to sign up is in the box below. If you can't make it live, just know you can catch the replay at the same link. The same link always takes you right to the replay after the event. And then, or tomorrow's update, I will see you. Stick with me energetically. Here we are together. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.